Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. Glad to welcome you to this Tuesday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by Tuscaloosa Toyota. Make sure you check them out at TuscaloosaToyota.com. We're all about people. We're all about you. Crimson Tide football team now 7-1 on the season. We have entered the first open date of Alabama football season, so we've got a really special show for you on this week's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by Tuscaloosa Toyota. We'll go through our headlines thanks to our smart board that's provided to us by R.J. Young, and they have the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. First of all, on the show today, as we get ready for this edition, we will take a look back at the Tennessee victory by showing you all the booth cam highlights presented by Royal Furniture from the Tennessee game, a great 52-24 win for Alabama over the Volunteers. And then we'll hear from the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Nick Saban, his post-game comments after Alabama's 15th straight win against Tennessee. Then we'll kind of check in with a couple of Crimson Tide legends, including Rashad Johnson. We'll get his thoughts on Alabama football at the midway point of the season, where even though we're a little past midway, still the first bye week of the year allows us to catch up with Rashad and talk about what he's seen from Alabama so far this season and what the Crimson Tide need to do moving forward. And then we'll check in with the women's basketball head coach of Alabama, Kristy, to get a really detailed breakdown on where her team stands getting ready for the season opener on November 9th. Alabama women will also have an exhibition game coming up on November 4th at Cullinant Coliseum against Alabama Huntsville. So that's what's on the show today. We'll continue going through some headlines, starting with the football team. Again, dominant win against Tennessee, especially that fourth quarter when Alabama outscored the Vols 28-7 to close out that game and post a 52-24 win. Bryce Young, another great game, throwing touchdowns. We even saw him running for his first 2 touchdowns in his Alabama career. He's the SEC Offensive Player of the Week. Now this Saturday, the only open date of the season for Alabama, and time to really recharge the batteries. And coming up for the LSU game, November 6th. We know the game will be played on Saturday, November 6th. We know it'll be in Tuscaloosa at Bryant-Denny Stadium. We do not know yet the kickoff time. It could be 11 o'clock. It could be 2:30. It could be 6 p.m. A lot of different options as the SEC office is using a 6-day hold to kind of determine the kickoff times. We will know as soon as Saturday's action is complete when Alabama and LSU will play. The latest details will, of course, be available on our social media accounts as well as RollTide.com. Alabama basketball, we are getting closer to the start of the season, and the men's basketball team had a charity exhibition game on Sunday, defeating Louisiana 73-68. And coming up on Thursday's edition of Crimson Drive, we'll be joined by men's basketball assistant coach Brian Hodgson to get a recap of that game, plus a full season preview. So great victory for the Crimson Tide, as that was a special game. We didn't have a TV or radio broadcast because we wanted fans to come to Coleman Coliseum, buy a ticket, raising funds for United Way of West Alabama. Keon Ellis had a great game for Alabama, 21 points. 16 of those were scored in the second half, as Alabama had a great second half to go in front of Louisiana and get the win 73-68. Women's basketball team partnered up with the men's basketball team for Tide tip-off last Friday at Foster Auditorium. And coming up, we'll hear from the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Kristy, to get her thoughts on Alabama basketball as we get ready to start this season. Some other headlines from around Alabama athletics. The baseball team, they're gearing up for their final week of fall ball competition that will culminate in an exhibition matchup with the Ole Miss Rebels Saturday at Swayze Field. A 12-inning game. Admission is free, so if you're able to make the trip, certainly head over to Oxford and cheer on the Crimson Tide. And also, their practices coming up later on this week at Sewell Thomas Stadium are free and open to the public. Soccer team had a win this past Thursday, a 2-1 victory against Kentucky. Great to see the home winning streak continue for Alabama, and then they did fall on the road at South Carolina on Sunday, 4-0 the final score. Now we're gearing up for, I guess you could say, people hate saying this, but the Iron Bowl of soccer will be coming up on Thursday night as Alabama does take on Auburn. We always love that special rivalry game here in Tuscaloosa. Women's golf team, Benedetta Moresco, she had a record 63 at the Alley yesterday. Play is continuing in that tournament today, but 63, that's the lowest score ever by an Alabama women's golfer in the first round of a tournament. So great to see that for Benedetta Moresco, who's going to put together a tremendous season for the Crimson Tide. Softball team, they also were playing some fall ball, and they actually closed out their fall ball schedule with a Sunday doubleheader sweep over Wallace State as fans packed the Rhodes House to see the Crimson Tide softball team, just part of what's been a tremendous fall for both baseball and softball. Used to, not many fans would go to a lot of these fall ball exhibitions, but now fans are starting to make their way to Sewell Thomas Stadium and Rhodes Stadium, and that's really great to see. We love of the spring sports getting some recognition during the fall. Well, this show will begin with a look back at the win against Tennessee, starting with our booth cam highlights as we look back to all the big touchdowns and the big moments that Alabama had this past Saturday against Tennessee.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a raucous Bryant-Denny Stadium. The Alabama Crimson Tide and the Tennessee Volunteers getting set to kick it off here in just a few moments. Slade Bolden in motion, comes back to the right of the formation. Bryce looks downfield. Tons of time. Now it breaks down and Bryce gets away. He'll roll to the near side, cuts left on a defender. He's to the 15, he's forward to the 10, inside to the 8-yard line, and a first down for Alabama. 12 yards on the run after having an eternity in the pocket. First and goal from the 8-yard line. Here's the give to Robinson. A couple of stutter steps, breaks a tackle or two, and he's in for a touchdown. 8 yards on the give to Brian Robinson. Rashad Robinson got the touchdown, but I'm telling you, the line play, they made that drive happen.
Hey, Bryce Young, the numbers he's put up this year, you're starting to see a little Heisman tape get together from him. The way he's been throwing the ball all year has been spot on, but right now doing it with his feet, making guys like that miss, and not only miss, but go into the grass as the missed tackle happens.
It'll be first and goal now. Bama from the Tennessee 6. Brian Robinson to the left side of his quarterback. Play action fake. Bryce throws. Caught. Touchdown. John Mechie on play action. Throws everybody and he picks up the touchdown on a pinpoint pass. And Alabama takes the 20-14 lead. Here's a 3rd and 4 for the Crimson Tide. They're working from the 6. They can get a first down at the 2. Here's Bryce, steps up, pulls it down. He's going to run. He's going to lunge in. He's got a touchdown. That'll do it. 6 yards right there on the first play of the 4th quarter. And Alabama adds to their lead. So Bama now 11 of 16 in 3rd down conversions. Here's a 3rd down and 14 play from deep in their own territory at their own 21. Slade Bolden in motion. Returns to the right of the formation. Here now Bryce looks long. Jamison Williams behind the defense. Makes the grab 30, 25, 20. He's taken down at the 19-yard line. Bama has been waiting for that big play all day long. Williams' 6th reception and the biggest of the evening.
No question about it. Deep post from Jamison Williams. He's running right down in the middle of the field, and this time Bryce cuts it loose early, able to put some air under the ball so Jamison can run underneath it and really flip the field. Huge explosive play for Bama.
A 66-yard pickup now to give to Robinson. He breaks 3-4 tacklers and he goes into the end zone for an Alabama touchdown. 15 yards of hard running for Brian Robinson, and Alabama has taken the lead 37-24.
Huge answer from Alabama. Massive play to Jamison Williams. Next thing you know, we're up 13 points. 4 plays on that drive. None bigger than the one to Williams. But Brian Robinson breaking 2 tackles, breaking 3 to get in the end zone, making it look easy. When he gets going downhill like that, gets a full head of steam, he's tough to tackle.
3rd and goal from a yard away. Defense digs in. Robinson says, you can dig all you want. I'm going over the top of you. Touchdown, Alabama. Touchdown, Alabama. The Crimson Tide on top now. 44-24 with the extra point yet to come. So the 3rd and 9. 5:13 to go in the game. Slade Bolden in motion. Goes to the left side. Bryce looks, throws. He's got a man across the middle. It is caught by Mechie down the right side. He's into the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama. 19 yards. Bryce Young to John Mechie. That combination working so well tonight. And Alabama adds to their lead, and they go over 50 points now to 51. 51-24, Alabama.
That was their Their MO was tempo, run a lot of plays, put a lot of pressure on the defense. But I think our defensive line tonight controlled the line of scrimmage and shut them down. Shut down Hendon Hooker, who is the leading rusher for Tennessee coming into the game. You know, did so much with his legs, had 4 touchdowns, almost 400 yards before we got started, but was able to make him one-dimensional. They hit the big plays. We had a few blown coverages, but nothing we couldn't overcome, and just a really complete football game from Alabama. Had a missed field goal and a block punt, so special teams get some things to work on, but I think the way we handled that in early adversity, Coach Saban's going to be extremely impressed with us.
Bama a winner tonight by a final of 52-24. Moments ago, Coach Nick Saban had just about gone to the locker room when he turned around and, escorted by his security detail and by Josh Maxson, who handles sports information and other administrative chores for the football team, the coach ran all the way to the other end of the field to salute the Alabama students. He applauded them. He pointed mightily to them, because they made a racket, and they were part of what caused Alabama to win here tonight.
Of course, the booth cam presented by Royal Furniture. Make sure you check out the booth cam during Alabama football games. And it was a great moment at the end of the ball game when Coach Saban, like Eli mentioned, ran over the student section, applauded them for the great effort they gave all throughout the night. The rivalry game win against Tennessee. And now it's time for Coach's checklist. Normally, we're recapping his Monday press conference. Coach Saban this week with the open date will only meet with the media. Coming up on Wednesday, we will have Coach's checklist from his Wednesday press conference coming up on our Thursday edition of Crimson Drive. But right now, we'll take a look back to Saturday and hear from Coach Saban after the win against Tennessee.
A great victory, I think, for our team. It's always great. This is a great rivalry to me, to us, to a lot of people in the state of Alabama. I think our crowd was fantastic out there. I think they had an impact on the game, especially the student section. You know, we did some things that, you know, we need to get fixed, obviously. Busted a couple coverage on defense, fumbled the ball on the 9-yard line, got a punt block, roughed the punter on 4th and 30. I mean, just some really things that we shot ourselves in the foot, and I think those things really need to get corrected, or, you know, they're going to cost us at some point. But I told the players, look, man, we got a bye week coming up. We got a real team we got to play in 2 weeks. We need to get some rest. We need to recover, but we also need to focus on what we need to do to finish the season, and getting some of these things corrected is obviously the thing that we want to focus. But I'm not going to be negative about the game. I'm not going to be negative about our team. I'm really positive about the way they went out there and kept competing in the game, and even though everything wasn't perfect, we made the plays that we need to make to win the game. So, you know, I'm excited. I'm happy, I'm pleased, and there's just some things that we need to do better. And I still think that we shouldn't need to be humiliated to go out there and play the way we're capable of. We should be a team that, you know, wants to beat other teams because of who we are, what our DNA is, what our disposition is, what we want our identity as a team to be, and we're going to keep working on that. So, but it's a great win for Alabama. It's a great win for the state, the people in the state, and you know, all of our fans and supporters and our players. Well, D-Rob has been a real consistent performer for us. You know, I think that the more he plays, the better he gets. He's been a really effective runner. He's got power. He makes people miss. I think the biggest thing he's improved on is being a very consistent receiver. He's catching the ball very well and making plays in the passing game, which was one of the things that he needed to improve on, and I think he's done a fantastic job of that. Bryce really played well in the game. I think he got frustrated, you know, a couple times, but he was very consistent. He made some big plays. We made some big plays. We missed a couple other big plays that we could have made. But I thought his consistency and performance was really, really good. And I thought the way he controlled the game, especially on 3rd down. We struggled to run the ball, you know, early, which kind of put us in some 3rd and not great manageable situations, and we converted on those, and that was really important early in the game, especially in the first drive.
Good to hear from Coach Saban after the Tennessee win, and now Alabama getting set for its open date. So Alabama has played 8 games so far, a 7-1 record, and everyone has a chance this week to kind of take a deep breath and see where the Crimson Tide have gone so far through 8 games, and then what's still left to go in the 4 games in the regular season schedule, as there's still so much on the line for this Crimson Tide football team. We figured this week on Crimson Tide Drive, it was also a great chance to really take a deep breath as well and talk to our sideline reporter Rashad Johnson, get a full view of what's going on with this Alabama football team. As again, we are at nearly the midway point of the season, maybe a little half past way from what we've had so far in terms of a numbers game, with games still left to go this season. But again, this is a great midway point to see and look where Alabama football is at this point. I think you'll enjoy this conversation with Rashad Johnson. Rashad, just 8 games in for the Crimson Tide. Where do things stand, do you feel like, at this point for Alabama?
Yeah, 8 games in, obviously would want to be, undefeated at this point. But I think, everything is right in reach. You're right where you want to be. Opportunity to get into the playoffs later in the season, as long as you handle your business, these remaining weeks after this bye week. And from there, man, I think they've done a good job. They bounced back from a tough loss on the road against Texas A&M, showed some, growth and resiliency when they went to Mississippi State. It was loud in that stadium, just, as it was in Texas A&M, and held that team very well. And then last week, Tennessee, a rivalry game, I think no one expected, 7 points going into the fourth quarter, but ultimately blew them away, with great fashion, to finish the game out strong. So I think they're looking good. Like I said, everything that they want is in their hands. Just got to finish it strong.
Is this team getting closer to playing the full 60 minutes that Coach Saban has really wanted to see all season long?
Well, they've did it before. The Ole Miss game was big. I thought they played, a full game, in that ball game. But they haven't consistently done that. And, that's what it takes to be a champion. It isn't about, hey, let me put together 60 minutes here, 45 here, 30 there. Who's the team that can put 60 together and consistently do it week in and week out? We talk about, I think we all can, see Tom Brady and see how he does it, but that's like the greatness that they're chasing. And Alabama's had that type of greatness throughout, Coach Saban's tenure here. So those teams have to be able to tap into that type of special, unique greatness that you have to do it week in and week out. Even my 2018, I mean, we almost did it, but got to the SEC championship game, 1 game away. So it's every week, it's 60 minutes and finishing it strong. And I think they learned their lesson, and now it's just time to make sure, we tap in this week and grow and get back to the fundamentals.
You're, of course, a great leader during your time at the capstone and 2-time captain for Alabama. Who are you seeing emerge as some leaders on this team this year?
Oh, man, Bryce Young is definitely a leader. Young in his talent and in his age, but very mature in his play, in his calmness and his ability to respond to adversity. And I think guys rally around that. You can tell that they love playing for him, love playing with him. He spreads the ball around to tons of different guys. So I take him as a leader. Will Anderson, another young guy, but is just phenomenal in his play and his character as well, on the field, off the field. He's handling his business, and guys respect that. To become a leader is not so much about your words, but about your action. And those two guys' actions speak, loudly. Jordan Battle as well. I think he's a guy, who has come along, who we knew coming into this season was going to play a big role. But these past few weeks, I mean, really has turned it on as a former safety. Like, I love to see, the play that he's been making on the ball, interceptions, being more physical in the run game, and just seeing his, that Florida energy that everybody enjoys watching, those Florida guys that have that swag, and he's bringing that, to this Alabama group. And I love watching him play. So those 3 guys, man, are tremendous leaders so far this season. There's a ton more that I could continue to mention, but those 3, just right now pop up in my head.
And sticking with Bryce Young for a moment, we've seen him, of course, stay in the pocket, be such an accurate passer, but also against Tennessee, we saw that he can scramble, he can pick up touchdowns with his feet. That adds so much to his game, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, man. When you got a quarterback, like you said, that can be mobile with his feet and extend plays, and not only extend plays, extend drives, because he's creating first downs on 3rd and, 8, 3rd and long opportunities. Now that you get another chance to stay on the field, and then scoring touchdowns. I mean, he's doing it all. So it definitely is a different dynamic that we haven't seen early on in the season with him. But I think it's, it's needed. It's going to create, that extra worry in that defensive coordinator's head going in and week out, that now this guy, is a scrambler. We can't rush, all our guys. We maybe have to leave a guy back and play, some spy defenses, which, now gives him more time in the pocket to find the open receiver. So there's a give and a take now with him, now jumping out and using those legs. And I remember, it was a couple weeks ago in the Florida game, he had an opportunity right there on the goal line. And a lot of people were thinking he should have ran it in, and he tried to throw it. And I think Lsu caught it out of bounds, but now he's, that one lesson. I mean, he's that guy that it only takes one time, for him to see it on the field or for it to happen. And then he comes back and he adapts his game and responds. And that's why I say, like, he's such a leader in the way that he carries himself and continues to get better.
Some of our pregame chats that we have on the radio, especially early in the year, we were talking a lot about Brian Robinson Jr. and what kind of running back would he be? Would it be more by committee? Would he be the guy that wants to get those kind of number one reps all throughout the game? I think he's answered that question the last few weeks, especially the Ole Miss game, 4 touchdowns. Yeah. He's looked great really all season long.
Yeah, no doubt. He's like, hand me all the meal. I can eat everything, the dessert, the breakfast, all of it. Don't give it to no one else. I can carry the load. And I love it, man. When he first came out, like you said, here, local Tuscaloosa, you saw that talent that we're seeing today. And sometimes it just takes some time, and I mean, he's fortunate. He's one of those guys that got an opportunity to, come back due to the COVID year last year. Najee Harris had a big year. Brian was playing, limited and this and that. But man, it's something about when you come into the year and it's your role and it's your opportunity, and he's slam dunking it. He's running hard, through the holes. There's not many one-on-one tackles. That's what you want to see as a running back, never getting tackled one-on-one. And then there's times where I'm catching him in the hole where, this is an easy tackle, and he's putting that foot in the ground and he's changing the direction so fast. And it's been really fun to watch, and it's been really good to see him remain healthy as well. He's had, a lot of carries, a lot of fatigue, at times we're seeing him come off the field like, man, is Brian okay? But he's remaining healthy throughout the season, and being able to carry that load. So exciting to watch him, man. And I'm excited to watch him finish it strong.
Certainly look forward to that. And of course, last Saturday was homecoming here at the University of Alabama. And that meant you got to be the homecoming Grand Marshal, something 2 years in the making, scheduled to be the Grand Marshal in 2019. It finally happened this past weekend. Just how did everything go for you and your family on a really special weekend?
Yeah, man, it was an awesome weekend. Like you said, 2 years in the making. Got rained out 19, COVID year in 2020. And, they were gracious enough, to ask me to come back, after putting up with me for the past 2 years anyway. I'm just thankful, man. Myself, my family, my little girls, my wife, we all had a tremendous experience. The parade was probably the highlight of it all, to do that with my family as a whole. But it was just great, to come back to the university, to share that moment and, to speak to the people and let them know that, I'm thankful for the university, get an opportunity to come here, to tap into the resources, to build the relationships that I built, and, to be able to replicate my life after some great men that were here before me. So it was just an awesome time, and just thankful for it. And it's definitely memories and videos and pictures that we'll cherish, a lifetime.
That's really special. We're all certainly really proud of you for having that honor. And now you get through homecoming, you get through the Tennessee game. Now it is Alabama's only open date of the season. You've been, of course, around as a player and as a member of the staff as well. What is this week like for the players trying to take a little bit of a breather during a very hectic and grind of a football season?
Yeah. You definitely get a chance to take a little bit of a breather just because you're not playing on Saturday. But the work goes on as usual, man. But this week is going to be probably, we go back, you go back to the fundamentals of things, that you're getting a chance to do that during the week you're not having an opportunity to do sometimes because we're so focused on game planning, and looking towards this team, you get an opportunity to get back to some of those fundamental tackling drills or some different things here and there. And it also may be a team that, we may be looking forward to. Could it be Arkansas? Could it be, Auburn that we want to get an extra week of preparation on? Who knows? It may be both, So coach finds a way to add a day to where you get a chance to work on Arkansas maybe on Tuesday and Auburn on Wednesday, LSU on Thursday, just so you can see the look before we come back and play those teams later in the week. So it's a mix of things. We get back to the fundamentals, but we also try and implement whatever team he thinks, or we're thinking at that moment is going to give us some headaches to kind of go ahead and sprinkle some things in for our guys so they can get their minds wrapped around it, during this week and see how they respond to it. So we can keep it and say it's great, or we can throw it out and say it was a little bit too much. So it's a mix and match week. It's always a fun week because you get some young guys an opportunity to play during this week as well. Because like you said, some of the older guys will rest. Some of them have injuries. Their bodies are fatigued. Let's get them a chance to respond. Long as mentally they're there, we're good. So some young guys are going to get a chance to show, who they are. So if I was them, I would take this opportunity, with a lot of, enthusiasm and energy, because this is a chance to now get into the rotation later on in these last, 4 to 5 weeks. And it's very important.
Still 4 ball games left for the Crimson Tide, and I think you hit on it as well. You're always kind of looking ahead, seeing what you can do to get ready. But I think for these guys, sticking to the process is going to be key, because these are 4 tough games coming up. You do have New Mexico State out of conference, but LSU, Arkansas, and Auburn. People want to look and think about a potential matchup with Georgia all they want, but 3 very talented football teams in the SEC West. Alabama's got to play well against.
Yeah, no doubt. We have to, like you said, you can't look ahead. We saw what happens when you do that. And these teams, like you said, are good. LSU, beat Florida, a team that played us to the wire. We've seen Arkansas, rally and play tremendous, all season. Sam Pittman is doing a great job with that program, and what they're doing and battling each and every game. It's a close game. And then Auburn, man, they're rallying. They have 2 losses. A couple weeks ago, those 2 losses looked a lot better before Penn State, dropped the games that they dropped. But still a good team. And a rivalry game, and going to Jordan Hare always, oh my God, just scratch your head, don't know what's going to happen. So, guys got to be where their feet are. That's the most important thing that you can be as a football player, and that's be where your feet are and taking advantage of that moment. When you're in that moment, you optimize that moment. That's going to help you be able to, finish this thing the way we want to finish it.
Certainly do. Well, Rashad, thank you for joining us here on Crimson Drive, getting your thoughts on Alabama at this point of the year. Enjoy a little bit of time off for you coming up on Saturday with us on the radio, but can't wait to be back with you for the LSU game. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Looking forward to it, Roger. Have a great one.
Rashad does such great work for us on the sidelines as our Cook's Pest Control sideline reporter for Alabama football. Really enjoyed that conversation, getting a great breakdown of where Alabama football stands 8 games in, still 4 to go in the regular season, and hopefully a lot more after that. Well, so many games are still left on the schedule for Alabama women's basketball because the season has not started yet. We're right in the thick of preseason practice for head coach Kristy Curry and the women's basketball team. They got to participate in the Tide tip-off last Friday night at Foster Auditorium, all in build up for this 2021-22 season. So it's time for a detailed scouting report on the Crimson Tide women's basketball team from the head coach, Kristy Curry. Coach, you got to love October, getting to be with your players in practice, knowing that November and the start of the season is just around the corner. But how's everything going?
It's going great. We're just excited. Obviously, we're excited for exhibition next week. Kind of tired of seeing Crimson versus White, and a great group of practice guys this year. So we're just excited for next week to really officially kick things off.
You guys have been practicing so much inside Foster Auditorium, but you had to love seeing Foster come alive on Friday night for the Tide tip-off presented by the Soup Store. Just what a great event that was.
It was a great event. It was a lot of excitement, and I know our players always enjoy being in that environment, experiencing that, and what a great weekend with homecoming, and that event made it even more special.
And you guys worked together on that with the men's basketball team. Just how enjoyable has it been the last couple of years working with Nate Oates and his staff, seeing the success they had last year?
Yeah, it's been great. We were one of 5 programs that had both the men's and women's programs in the NCAA tournament. That's something that we are very proud of and take a lot of pride in joining in with our men to have a great year. And we want to be consistent with that. We want both programs in the NCAA tournament. So we're excited for that. And, certainly can build on this past season and do that over and over and over.
So for the Crimson Tide women's basketball team, made it to the NCAA tournament last year and went to the round of 32. Just kind of take us through the offseason from when the season came to an end in San Antonio to where we are now.
When your season goes that long, you don't have much time between the end of the season and finals to be able to do individual workouts and to be able to go into your postseason. But we had a few weeks where we were able to do that. And then, we were fortunate during that time to hire a new strength coach and Ashley Beaver that came in and really transitioned us into June and July. So our consistency headed into June, I felt like was in a really good space. with our roster and where we were with that, and then everyone around the program, and put a great plan together for summer 1 and summer 2. And now the transition into the fall has just been terrific. And so it was a good plan after the season, headed into summer 1 and summer 2.
You mentioned Ashley Beaver joins the staff. What can you tell us about Roman Tubner, one of the new assistant coaches for you?
Just brings a lot of joy and happiness to the office every day. I mean, his energy is contagious. He's really passionate in all aspects, whether it be in our office, daily on practice floor, just everything that he brings within the office every day. And then when you look at his energy in recruiting, I mean, he is relentless on the phones. It's 24/7, and it's fun to be around him because I think we have a lot of the same energy in recruiting and constantly working the phones. And that's a big piece of it.
Before we dive into taking a look at the roster and seeing who's back for this year, just with so many new faces, some familiar ones from last year as well, style of play still how Alabama women's basketball has played over the last few years? Any major changes on offense or defense for you guys?
No major changes. We really want to play fast. I mean, we want free throws and layups and threes. We really want to score early and often in the offensive, on the offensive side of the ball, and that's the style of play. From a defensive standpoint, nothing's changed. I think that we're going to have different combinations that can give some different looks defensively than maybe we've had the ability to do in the past. I think we're a little bit more mobile at times at the 5 and at the 4, and maybe being able to do some things in the full court, the 3/4 court, the half court. But I also feel like we have a little bit better rim protection. So I think some things defensively, I think that's the one side of the ball. We were second in the league, as far as the number threes and top 10 in the country in our offensive efficiency. We've really got to improve the defensive side of the ball. And that's something we've spent a lot of time on here, from the fundamental side of it to moving it into 5-on-5. And we've got to be better defensively.
All right, now let's take a look at this Crimson Tide women's basketball roster. And Coach, I'll kind of prompt you player by player as we go along, but would just love to hear the status of these players and what they've been working on, what their season looks like coming up, starting with Ariana Grizzly.
Much improved. She's really given us a steadiness and a calmness. I've been really pleased with the progression of Ari's career, and I think you're going to see her. I mean, I know so far this year she's done a great job of being, much more in practice as far as just her ability to really impact and help us. She has a calmness and a steadiness about her. And the past couple of weeks, I've certainly seen an improvement.
Megan Abrams.
Just an impact. She's scoring in a variety of ways. When you look at Megan's development, she was shooting 14% from 3 as a freshman, and she shot 34% last year. So, not only does she have the penetration piece and the finishing piece to her game, but I think she's really done a great job of making her game more versatile, where you can't just stand in the paint and have her shoot over you and give her that. I mean, she's really become consistent from 3 for us. She's doing a great job from the free throw line, but the thing that she's improved the most has been her vocal leadership, and I feel like she has a chance to really have that breakout season. She's committed to come back already for a 5th year. So we have her 2 more years. She'll start her master's program upcoming, and just really proud of who she is and how she represents our program.
Now a student athlete we've seen before at Mississippi State, but we're glad she's in Crimson now, Jemiah Mingo Young.
We sure are. Jemiah's a young lady who recruited out of high school, and she went to Mississippi State. We're excited to have her back part of the program. And man, the energy she brings, when we talk about becoming a better defensive team, she really has a chance to impact that in a big way. There are days where she takes multiple charges in practice. She brings so much energy, a lot of vocal energy. She brings a lot to practice every day. She's really working on improving her 3 ball, being consistent with that. She's obviously very good getting to the rim, but she just makes us better. She has a swag about her, a toughness about her, and really, really excited for the dimension she's added because it's really an impact dimension for us.
Taylor Sutton.
Improved, has really gotten in the gym, worked on her shot, playing with much more of a calmness and, getting her team to the right spots, being more vocal. I think that's the biggest thing. Is my challenge was to her, is understanding how much we need you to be vocal and how much we need you to direct traffic. And, having Hannah out there, we need some steadiness with Hannah, and she's really doing a really good job. You're going to see an improved Taylor Sutton.
Speaking of Hannah from Homewood, I love saying that on the radio when she hits 3-pointers, Hannah Barber.
Oh, just, just steady. I mean, day in and day out, again, is someone that's worked relentlessly on her change of pace and change of direction, and all dictated by conditioning. I mean, Hannah's another one of those players. You heard me say it a lot a year ago with Jasmine Walker's owned her development, but she's shooting the ball really well. She's doing a great job of just running our team. And we're excited because, with her leadership in the backcourt with Megan Abrams and Jemiah, it's pretty special. There's not anyone that I've seen work as hard as Hannah has to be an impact on her team every day. Then she's just done a great job. We're excited about her having the ball in her hands a little bit more, moving from the 2 to the 1, and you've got Taylor Sutton. We feel good about, our group of point guards headed into the year.
Craig Cruz.
Allie Craig's going to be able to move back to her natural position. A year ago, due to Ruth tearing her ACL, had to move to the 5 spot. And as we all know, that's not necessarily her forte, but she's moving back to the 4 spot. She's working hard every day, and we're excited about her year and being able to play her natural position.
Kayla Blackshear.
Oh gosh, I'm so excited about Kayla. She just brings so much energy, plays so hard, and I honestly have been surprised that she's been able to transition, but I think it's her maturity in all areas, on the floor, off the floor, in the classroom, and she's going to have a chance to play because of her energy she brings on each possession. She's relentless on both sides of the ball, can really add a dimension for us on the offensive glass. So I'm excited about Kayla. I think it's very difficult sometimes for freshmen, but she's made the transition because of her maturity level. Both her mom and dad played college basketball. Her brother, Kerry, was in the NBA Summer League. She has a brother that's, on Steve Alford's team at Nevada. So it's a big basketball family. So she really gets it from a perspective of how hard you have to work, how committed you have to be, and love coaching her.
We'll be going to her hometown in a little bit to face Duke, but Myra Gordon, the native of Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah, Myra had a chance to come in and play some minutes last year, and I know that she's worked really hard for her role to improve and increase. It's going to come down to her being consistent each and every week, and she's worked a lot on improving her shot consistently from 3. Really improving from a conditioning and a stamina standpoint, how she can improve defensively. I think the biggest thing is taking care of the ball. And really having that 2-to-1 assist turnover ratio. But she's worked hard all summer, and I'm excited about what she and Allie Craig can bring us at the 4, and then Myra can swing to the 3. So she's really worked hard this summer.
Someone else that's worked a lot hard to come back from a tough injury a year ago, Ruth Kong.
Hey, my face probably lights up when you say that name. There's no question, that was a big blow a year ago, and for us to be able to do what we did and have the lack of depth at that position. Ruth has really, she's out of her brace now. She's been fully released to contact. That's happened the past 2 weeks. It's just continuing to transition her. She's worked really hard at her conditioning, but she obviously gives us a lot of protection at the rim, the ability to finish around the rim, and gives us size in this league that you have to have night in and night out. So we're excited and just praying she can stay healthy and continue to progress. Training staff, Dara McIntyre's done a great job. Ruth's done a great job, everyone with their physical therapy. So we're making progress and things are moving positive in that for Ruth right now.
Someone else we're thrilled to see back on the floor this season, Brittany Davis.
Oh my goodness. Brittany has been unbelievable. Shooting the basketball, can score in a variety of ways. I'll say this, she is in the best shape, the best condition from a mental and physical standpoint that I've seen. And, question when you're out like that, how are you going to come back? How are you going to respond? The way she's responded has been unbelievable. So she's really shooting the cover off the ball right now, trying to get her to play more defensively without the foul. I'm trying to do some things that we need her to grow and mature from a mental and an execution standpoint on both sides of the ball. I'm really pleased of where she's at and what she's doing.
Another talented transfer coming into this program, Jada Rice.
Oh, Jada has been just a joy to coach, be around. Obviously, has a tremendous amount of experience, NCAA tournament, high level in the ACC at NC State. She's an impact for us at the 5. If we have a starting lineup today, she's in that starting lineup. She gives us some rim protection. She gives us some toughness. She's physical. She's aggressive, and probably sprints from free throw line to free throw line as fast as anybody I've had in a while at the 5 spot. And so she just brings a lot of energy to each possession. We're really working hard on her finishing, working hard on her free throws, working hard on her understanding that we're going to need 8 or 10 points and, 8 or 10 rebounds a game. And we're excited. I mean, she's a lot of fun to coach and a lot of fun to be around.
Well, we were definitely excited on Friday to see the 3-point shooting contest. Jaden Shackleford, along with Nia Daniel, winning it. What can you tell us about Nia and the 3-point shots that she has?
Nia really too brings a variety of experiences. When you look at her year at North Carolina, and then obviously the coaching changed, and then what she went through, and then she decided to go the junior college route. And one of the biggest reasons for that was to improve her outside, productivity. And she's really worked hard on her 3. She's really worked hard on her 1-2 dribble pull up. And she really can give us an offensive punch, that I feel like is really going to help us when you talk about losing a Jazz, when you talk where the point's going to come from. And I get that. We lost 66% of our scoring. But I think, I've mentioned a lot of people on here that number one are returning that have improved. And number 2 are new faces, and Nia's a big piece of that. I mean, she has really been shooting the ball well and really picking up on things quickly. And I'm excited. She's a lot of fun to be around too and coach, and, brings a swag about her and a confidence about her. And we're going to need that.
Continuing to go through the Alabama roster with Coach Curry, 2 players left, starting with Kyla Wade-Warren.
Kyla is versatile. I mean, she can step out and really shoot it. I think that's been the biggest thing is when you look at Kyla, she's a finesse post player. The biggest transition for her has been the physicality and being inside out. But she definitely has a ton of potential when you look at Kyla. I mean, she's replaying her freshman year all over again now with the COVID year. And, there are days where, she really can step out. She really can hurt you inside. So I'll say this with Kyla, Jada, Ruth, and Kayla, we're really excited about 4 options at the 5 spot, which is far from what we've had in the past. And, I think Kayla can also swing over at the 4. I think Kyla can a little bit. So it just depends on, exactly combinations. But I love Kyla and the versatility she brings to our team.
And finally, we get to a freshman that's on this roster, Taylor Cullinant.
Taylor's been out with a medical condition, is yet to fully return. So we're just, supporting her through that and helping her. I mean, she's making progress each day, but I think it's too far out to determine what she can and can't do just because she's had a medical condition that, she was completely out for 3 weeks. And most importantly, we just hope she's back healthy and can recover.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for going through the roster with us. Before we let you go, what can you tell us about the schedule, especially the non-conference matchups that we have coming up? So many great games inside Coleman Coliseum.
Absolutely. When you look at our schedule and, to be able to, we've had a close scrimmage and now we're into our transition into the exhibition mode. Playing Alabama Huntsville will be great. They do a great job with their program there. And then you come back home and you have a doubleheader to kick off the season with the men. How fun is that for everyone to get to come see both programs in one day? And we have a Charleston Southern team and, and then you turn around and you've got Tulane at home, you've got Memphis at home, you've got Houston at home, all really good programs. And, a lot of different combinations. When you look at those 3 programs and the transfers, because of the transfer portal, I mean, they're completely have changed their rosters. So it's going to be fun with that. And then, we go to Duke there pretty quickly, which we all know. I mean, when you say Duke, there's some instant credibility there. And I know that they've got, again, a whole different team because of the transfer portal. And then, you just look at the schedule of being on the road. So, going to Little Rock, going to Chattanooga, those aren't easy. Those are traditionally strong programs. I know that do a lot in their league year in and year out. So, I certainly don't mean to leave anyone out in the preseason, but I think it gives this team, as we're trying to blend a lot of new faces with old, a chance to really grow and learn. And I don't think that it's a schedule that can put us in a position, to not gain some confidence as we go. I think that's always a big piece is the confidence and how can we be better than we were yesterday and how can we continue to learn from our experiences. So the biggest schedule I have every day is we have a great group of practice guys. I think the best that we've had. And that was limited a year ago with COVID, only having 5 guys every day. So now we've got multiple days with multiple different combinations. And I truly mean it. They have been unbelievable for us so far this season. And so I feel like our schedule every day really puts us in a position to prepare for our preseason schedule.
Well, we certainly love hearing that. Again, coming up next Thursday after this one, the exhibition game against Alabama Huntsville, and then Tuesday, November 9th, opening day for college basketball, Alabama against Charleston Southern. Coach, just thank you for joining us for this really detailed preview on your team. Cannot wait to see you guys at Coleman Coliseum. Thank you again. Roll Tide.
Hey, thanks, Roger. Can't wait to see you too. Roll Tide.
Thanks to Coach Curry. Thanks to Rashad Johnson for joining us today on Crimson Drive, driven by Tuscaloosa Toyota. What a great show to kind of recap Alabama football season at this point, plus still what's ahead for the Crimson Tide football team. And then Coach Curry, again, player by player, such a great breakdown of what is in store for Alabama women's basketball as the season will start on November 9th. That men's and women's basketball doubleheader. The women will play Charleston Southern. The men will play Louisiana Tech. Can't wait to be back inside of Coleman Coliseum for the basketball season to begin. Tickets are available at rolledtide.com. Of course, a lot of broadcasts coming up here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, as well as we're getting into a really busy time of the year. And we will continue this week with Crimson Drive, driven by Tuscaloosa Toyota, coming up on Thursday, as we'll be talking a lot about Alabama men's basketball. We'll have comments from Coach Saban, plus a lot more coming up. So make sure, again, you join us coming up Thursday, 2 p.m., right back here on the CTSN Facebook page for Crimson Drive, driven by Tuscaloosa Toyota. Big thanks to our producer, Ethan Carabin, for putting this show together. Thanks to all of you for watching. Enjoy the rest of this week, and we'll see you again coming up Thursday at 2 p.m. for Crimson Drive, driven by Tuscaloosa Toyota. So long, everyone. Roll Tide.